I'm Jen with Yoga with Jen and Choice Yoga. I want to share something with you today, and in fact, one of my good friends, Elisa Spring, is doing a vulnerability challenge right now, and I'm thinking maybe this should even be a post for that. So, Elisa, I might tag that for this. I've known for some time now that I need to start sharing more online, making more videos, posting more things, writing more, sharing my thoughts and my ideas and my teaching from my yoga that I teach in person. I've known this for a while, and there is a vulnerability about starting to do that for such a broad audience, because online is really open to anyone to see. And I know though that while there's that vulnerability there, and I have this feeling of like, I'm not quite ready, I don't have enough followers, I don't have the right website, I need a better logo, I need all these things. I know that I really just have to start doing it. And so there's a vulnerability there, but also to an excitement, because I know that doing this is part of my piece of trying to change the world, my piece of trying to save this world, and so I know I have to get going with this. So today I want to share with you what I taught in my classes this week. So if you've never been to one of my classes in person, they are all levels vinyasa classes, my public classes. Everyone's welcome, from someone who's never done yoga to someone who wants me to help them work on standing on their hands in the middle of the room. I take everyone all at once, and I love it. So there's the physical aspect, of course, to the yoga that I teach, but also too, at the beginning of all of my classes, I share something, and sometimes it's something really small, sometimes it's something bigger, sometimes it has a heavy yoga philosophy element, sometimes it's just a story of something that happened to me that week. And then through class, we sort of talk about, I share how yoga philosophy might apply to that story or that situation. So that's how my classes usually go. And that's what I want to start sharing with more of you all online. I'm also going to soon have up actual yoga tips and tricks and classes and things, but I think the philosophy stuff is really fun to share online. So this week in my classes, I was talking about that my parents had been visiting me for a month, and they just left on Monday. And they come every year. I've been living in Hawaii for 12 years. They live in Virginia. I'm an only child. They miss me a lot. So they come once a year to visit. And when they come, they stay with me. They stay in my house. And right now, specifically, they stay with me in my studio. I have this amazing space I live in. It doesn't feel like a studio, but it's technically one space. And so when they come, even though they're the best, most lovely, wonderful parents in the world, it's really intense having them just in my space the whole time. Especially, I'm the kind of person that I like having my own space, so it's really intense. But also too, before they come, every year I do this thing where I clean my house, and it's kind of like some people do spring cleaning. Like, my house is normally fairly clean. I mean, I have animals, so it's kind of always crazy, but my house isn't dirty all the time. But I do this really sort of deep cleaning every year when they come. And with them coming into my studio specifically now, I literally have to take everything out of this walk-in closet I have that's huge and put my queen bed in there. And so it's this time where I'm literally like cleaning and looking at all my physical stuff, like all of it, like everything I have, I'm kind of taking stock and looking at it. And when they come and I'm doing that too, I also kind of end up looking at my actual self, and like even though my parents aren't judging me, they love me no matter what. They want the best for me and they want me to make good choices, but they love me no matter what. I think this year specifically, I realized that I get kind of stressed when all this cleaning and stuff is going on. It's this stress I put on myself, where I'm looking at myself through what I perceive to be their eyes, and using them as a mirror to like more clearly see myself. And so this year I was chatting with one of my best friends over email about this, and about how I'd kind of realized how this stress I always feel around them coming is self-induced. They're not trying to stress me out, and even if they got here and my house was a little bit of a mess, or things were chaotic, they really wouldn't care. They just want to see me. They want to be around me. But I kind of put this whole thing on myself. We were talking about how they were a mirror for me to see myself in, and a mirror for me to take stock of what's going on in my life. And as we were talking about that, we got into, my friend said, one of my most favorite things he's ever said to me. He says a lot of amazing things, but he said to me, mirrors are what's needed in the world more figuratively than literally. And I was like, wow, that's really true. Like, we have so many literal mirrors in this world. You can look at yourself in so many ways, physically. But the figurative mirrors, I think, are more important. And so we got to talking about two. One of my favorite tidbits of yoga mythology is a telling of the creation story. And just a little short version to share with you. And if you don't want to think about actual gods and goddesses, and if you're less spiritual and more just physics oriented in your mind, you can think of this as the personification of the story of the Big Bang. That's really what it is. But a yoga mythology story of creation was that in the beginning there was Shiva, and Shiva is the ultimate form of God. It's all encompassing. And Shiva was there at the beginning as the potential for everything, absolute potential energy, the nothing before the Big Bang. He was stillness and quiet, and he was there, and he thought, I know I'm everything, I know I'm awesome, I know I'm amazing, but it would be so cool if I could see that, if I could see how awesome and amazing I am. And so the story goes, he created Shakti to reflect himself back to himself. And so then Shakti is kinetic energy, Shakti is creative energy, Shakti is the doing and the being of the world, and Shakti is all of us and everything that we see around us. And so that's where we get the idea that we're all divine, and that's where we get the idea that we are a reflection of God, or that we're made in God's image. And so it's a really cool concept to think about, this idea of the creation, the Big Bang, but also too in knowing that Shakti is everything, that energy is in everything, then we can use each other as mirrors. Like, I realized I was using my parents as mirrors to see myself, and it's not always true. When you're looking at somebody doing something crazy, it doesn't always mean that's a reflection of you, but if you choose to see what other people are seeing in you, then you can use everyone around you as a mirror. And so my friend and I were talking about this, and he said, mirrors are what's needed more figuratively than literally in this world. And then we said, I shared with him, when people walk by a mirror, an actual physical mirror, they automatically adjust their hair, fix their face, smile a little different, smile a little more, quit scowling, that sort of thing. And in fact, a few years ago I had read an article that said that a mirror face is a thing. Like, when people know they're going to look at themselves in a mirror, they actually hold their face differently than they do when they're not looking at themselves in a mirror, which is interesting, right? But what if, when we caught a figurative reflection of ourselves, when we saw how we were acting in the world, when we saw more of our soul, when we saw more of what people see in us, less physically and more spiritually or emotionally, or in that sort of way, what if we immediately adjusted how we were acting? What if we immediately corrected something? How interesting would that be? And my friend I was talking to said, I think everyone would be more loving and more kind. So I wanted to share that with you today. I shared it in my yoga classes at the beginning and through class this week, and we did a fun little class where we divided the room, and instead of everyone going with the same side, we did things so that we could face each other and see each other, and I think everyone had a lot of fun, and it was an interesting class for me to teach, because I had to think a little harder to direct it that way, but it was super fun. So I just wanted to share. I'm going to start sharing more. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube or Instagram or wherever you're seeing it. There will be links below so you can link up with me. You can always find me on all social media as Yoga with Jin. I also just started a yoga project that I'm doing this year called Choice Yoga, and you can find Choice Yoga on Instagram and Twitter, and then Choice Yoga Project on Facebook. And there'll be posts on there and ways for you to participate in the Choice Yoga Project this year. Just getting people to start thinking about the choices that you make in your life and how those choices create your reality. So hopefully you can link up with me, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know. If you've got comments or questions or things you want me to talk about, or yoga questions, things you want me to do in videos, let me know, because there will be a lot more to come, and I always welcome feedback and ideas that you all want. So, alright. Aloha!